Sorry for being mute for a while. So Professor Yoon will give her presentation. We'll give you 20 minutes for presentation. I will also chime in again 3 minutes before the end of your presentation time. Good afternoon, everybody. Today, I'm going to talk about Bruno Latour's multinationalism to criticize multiculturalism. So this is my presentation. So my subtitle is Cultural Diversity and Feminist Issues from the Perspective of the Actor Network Theory. So I want to make it a presentation mode, but I will proceed anyway. So this is the Article 1 of the UNESCO Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity. It says the culture takes diverse forms across times and space. This diversity is embodied in the uniqueness of the plurality of the identities of the groups in society, making up humankind. As a source of exchange, innovation, and creativity, cultural diversity is as necessary for humankind as biodiversity is for nature. So in this declaration, it says about the cultural diversity and the natural diversity is something that is juxtaposed with each other. Here we can see the meaning of humankind, what kind of perspective they are thinking when they see each other. So humankind, they think they are the one who have values and exchanging values with each other. And this uh, declaration, it says the coexistence, peace, and compromise as its keyword. But diversity is coming from Latin diversus. So it says the confrontation and disharmony and discordance. So it is not a kind way to have the culture, but it's a dynamic fight against achieving the culture. So the culture multiculturalism have many culture diversity concepts. We have subculture, and second we have perspective culture, in which the belief and religions are having their belief. And third is the collective culturalism, in which one ethnicity have their collectivism to go against another. So here they have a narrow type of uh, culturalism. So here, racial group and others have their own identity in an inclusive manner. So in the presentation, I'd like to talk about to criticize cultural concepts multiculturalism uses as premise, and to review the strength and limitation of interculturality and transculturality, and to demonstrate the necessity of the multinaturality of Bruno Latour, and then want to criticize the power effect inherent in the cultural diversity concept of multiculturalism, and also as a subculture to go against other cultures, how it is expressed in the anti-hijab movement in Iran from the perspective of the actor network theory. So the cultural concept of the multiculturalism is the culture that is separable, closed, and isolated. And the culture for the human race and the ethnicity, that is, they have the huge boundaries, and one culture is included in only in one ethnicity. And those multiculturalists, they have their own rational collectivism, they have their own boundary, and they exclusively go against others who are outside of the boundary, and internally they have one single collectivism, then whose culture is it? Because in the multiculturalism, when we say there's a single culture, they don't think about the race and others, as well as they also have to include age and gender difference in one. That's why when we include all of those, only then can we have one single culturalism. Without that, we will force other gender or other people in other age classes to follow the majority. So another limitation that we have is that all the disadvantages are perceived as they are originated from other cultures. That's why it goes to the extremism and also go to the confrontation between two different parts. For them, they don't have any economic merits or benefits in the society. That is going against the social economy that we are having. The culture that is premised by the cultural diversity, to go beyond to that, we have to adopt the alternative concepts. They are the interculturality and transculturality. What are they? So interculturality, inter is the prefix to have interactive changes and discourses between different cultures. However, multiculturalism is not interested in other cultures, and they think other cultures in a different ghetto, and they try to keep a distance from other cultures. Interculturality, they see culture as a complex being to have dynamism and the possibility of change. They are not in the juxtaposed positions. Rather, with different background, they can understand each other in an interactive manner. However, this interculturality, we can meet and we can interact with each other under this interculturality when we have two different cultures. The interculturality is also recognizing cultures. They are different and they are divided. So, this kind of boundary is inherent in the interculturality that is going against the globalism in which we are trying to go transcend all the boundaries that is in existence in the physical world. And also in different cultures, when they have discourse, they try to go in a logical and a verbal communication. Only with that communication we can communicate and interact with each other. But there are non-verbal communication possible. That is also the source of the conflict and interaction. But they do not track other cultures. The transculturality, there trans is a prefix that is traverse and penetrate and interlink and assimilate with each other. So that means that is going beyond the culture concept that is dividing and assimilate with each other. So it goes beyond what is mine, what is yours. We go together in one bowl. So in the transculturality, we go beyond the original and instinctive way of seeing culture. We do not see culture to be subjectified one authentic culture origination. Rather, even if I have one single identity, I can be in the mixed cultural impacts. I can combine them. I can develop them further. Thereby, this transculturality in its concept, it is going free from other interculturality or culture by escaping from the privileges we have. As if you are going in the all you can eat buffet, you can choose something that you want to eat. That means you have somewhat high level of authority to choose something, and it is relying in the culture concept, that is the symbol and the signals that is invented by grids. So this kind of disorderly fashion of the cultural orientation is not well interpreted here.
According to Nats Plato and Greece, the separation of nature from society is ambition of the 16th century, and also it is from the capitalistic violence, and also multiculturalism, and also culture. The binary system is also according to the purification of multinaturalism, because modernity separates nature from culture, and it aims to purify it, what's real, what the purification means by the it's a creation of the space in which the humans and also nature belongs separately, and between humans that also the venue for differences between them. However, multinaturalism is different because the humans depend on tangible things, and also the totality of different elements of nature and humans can stand together. So universal and single nature, and also a unique culture. The cultural diversity is according to binary system, but multinaturalism respect both, and also coexistence of the two in harmony, and also that does not point out relativism and also multiplicity of nature and humans. Both of them are not separated from each other. Rather, they can form each other, they can redefine with each other. Multiplicity of the nature and also culture does not see the connection between them is unique, but the connection between them can disappear, and also it can lead to formation of other things, leading to fluidity of the connection. Now, let me turn to strengths of multinaturalism. For example, the concept of nature, culture, goes beyond the separation of multiculturalism and the cultural concept of close unity. Secondly, beyond the limits of the dialogue model presupposed by the concept of interculturality, multinaturalism shows a multi-layered network of material discourse exchanges. Thirdly, multinaturalism also respect aspects of power relations that the concept of transculturality tends to omit, can be dealt with at the level of translation. By doing so, the problems of politics and power can be tangible. And it also can be divided into indigenous culture and also immigrant culture, different cultures in the same space. The coexistence of that is presupposed by multiculturality. And the indigenous culture reflects the history of territorial conquest, of capitalist imperialism, invention of non-human objects such as steamship, guns, and telegraph technology, and also through mobilization. That is closely related to imperialism. And thanks to steamships and guns, non-human materials helped indigenous culture coexist with other cultures. So it means that indigenous culture, its boundary is not just defined by others. And also, when it comes to immigrant culture, until the 1970s in Western Europe, immigrants were the result of outsourcing of risks in the 3D industry, and the influx of cheaper labor, and also the development of transportation technologies such as airplanes, ships, and trains. So non-human objects are connected to humans, and also harmful substances in heavy industry. And also it is thanks to the connection of those harmful substances with the labor from developing countries. And also That has always been an issue in our society. Within ethical minority groups, oppression on them has been at the center of discussion around multiculturality. And that was represented as a dynamism against the mainstream culture that has not been under the limelight. And so that means that there's a subordinate culture and also diversity of faith of women, those who are wearing hijab. That was also one of my research subject. According to John Lloyd, actor, and also the theory network is like this. Not only the nature, but also our society, they believe that they make each other. According to the theory, not only this is society, but also everything is according to binary system, animals, humans, architecture. So it includes everything, humans and non-humans. From the perspective of a theory, the stick, the woman's body, and hijab perspective of others, and also differences between the cultures. We are going to see how they play into this theory. So that is a dynamism where everything starts to form by itself. So in December 2017, the street of Angela in Tehran, the movement to take off the hijab started. That was sparked by one lady who took the lead in this movement. Hijab, the combination of hijab and also the body of a woman, that will not be the all essence of this movement, but by not taking everything as granted, we can lead to another movement at the second stage of our translation. For example, by raising public awareness, and we can start a negotiation. So according to the existing network, the stick is playing its part. So it means that she resists to what she has to do. That divides the body of a woman and also body of men. Now, by connecting her body with a stick, that stick is not just a stick, but it is like a political flag. In order to raise more awareness, she stands up to the point where that is higher than where others are standing. In the short time, she successfully garnered attention. And the Yes, please wrap up your presentation within 3 minutes. Yes, and also registration is the third stage of a translation. So hijab, that object stuck to the stick, is now a flag, and that represent the voices of women who are resisting, and also that plays its role as an amplifier. And also in the public space, which used to be the space for a men, now the public space became the space for a women who once raised their voices. And also the perspectives, conservative perspectives from the general public is now reflected upon photographs taken. And where is fee, that hashtag was stuck to it, and that amplified the phenomenon. And also police officers also played its role in the photo, that rather their existence in that photograph reduced what they tried to do. And the last stage of our translation, the mobilizing is the last stage, the act of including into one's network. So network between humans and non-humans are now toppled apart. So that we started to give new meaning to stick and also white cloth. So during the wartime, by waving it, it means that they surrender. That was existing meaning. However, by waving white cloth with the stick, completely different results came from this act. For example, shouting, going forward, and also waving your body hard. So the existing network turned out to be completely different one, quietly waving the stick with white cloth at the end. In the public space, the lady confidently displayed her hair in the public space, and that means she desperately resisted to wearing hijab. So she stood high in the public space, and she also invited not only young women but also older women, and also by taking photographs and by putting hashtag, that effect was expanded via social media. So when combining all these elements, all other actors were also included in this network. So like this, the body of a woman did not only end up as the actual tangible body, but also it turned out to be more powerful entity. By doing so, this kind of movement, by forging the network between humans and nature, turned out to be alternative movement to reduce men. And it was a subordinate culture, and also it included the various perspectives and also cultural diversity. So entanglement of nature and also humans were not reflected upon cultural diversity, but it was well reflected onto multinaturalism by recognizing it's a free movement that expanded the landscape of men and nature. This concludes my presentation.